Hey everyone, it's Rosin. End of the year, end of the decade even, channel update for y'all. Kind of exciting. That's making it sound a lot more exciting than it'll actually be. But yeah, I wanted to give y'all a brief update on where I'm at, both my personal life and with channel stuff. Towards the end of the year here, I haven't been as productive as I've wanted to be, unfortunately. So I'll talk about that a little bit, and I'll talk about my immediate plans for the channel, because I got some exciting stuff in the works as always, and I hope that y'all are gonna like it. I should say I'm technically recording this while I'm on the clock working from home. I had a little bit of free time here, and I'm waiting for someone to email me back before I can do any more work. And the last time that I emailed this woman, she yelled at me for attaching spreadsheets in a different order than what she wanted in an email, which was interesting. So I don't actually know if she's going to email me back, but you know, that's the life of someone who, you know, is at the mercy of whether or not their client is a understanding and empathetic person. And unfortunately, sometimes you roll the dice wrong, and you just get paired up with some very bizarre people in the world of corporate America. But nothing I can really do about that. And who knows? Maybe she'll email me back today. Maybe she won't. So yeah, enough about my work bullshit. Though I will talk about work bullshit in a little bit here, because it does also impact my channel productivity, just a little bit. But no, I do want to provide a brief update on my medical stuff, because I had a big medical thing happening earlier in the year. I don't know if y'all remember that. And that impacted my output. And it was a little scary at the time, but luckily, I think I reported this. Pretty much everything went about as well as it possibly could have. For those of you newer to the channel, I've dealt with some mobility-related stuff my entire life that's kind of impacted my well-being. And there was a little bit of a scare with that earlier in the year. Luckily, everything went just as good as it possibly could have, like I said, so that was great. But during the recovery process of that, things got a little bit more interesting. One of the nurses who I was working with, when she was taking my blood pressure, went, you know, this is a little high for someone your age and where you're at in life and that sort of thing. Now, I am a naturally very anxious person. I have social anxiety, and I get really bad white coat syndrome a lot of the time at the office. For those of you who don't know, white coat syndrome is just the term for people who are getting their blood pressure checked, and the rating isn't really representative of their day-to-day life, because you know, when you're naturally in a unfamiliar environment talking to people who are essentially strangers, that can cause someone to get nervous, and when you get nervous, your blood pressure goes up. So, a normal thing, and they're like, we're not going to worry too much about it, but we do want you to come back in here, and we're just going to check your pressure another time. Checked it, and it was pretty similar, you know, still kind of high for what they wanted it to be. And it wasn't too high, and from what I've been told from my doctor during this process, apparently, a little bit ago, they changed the ratings for what they recommend for blood pressure, just because before it sounded like the ratings were possibly a little too lax, especially for older people. So they wanted to make it more strict and really tighten up on what they want where they want people to be at in terms of blood pressure. So, from what I understand, under the old ratings, I would have been fine, but under the newer ratings, I'm not falling into where they want me to be. And at first we really just thought it was the anxiety thing, but as I kept going in and I kept rating around the same point, they're like, okay, no, this is probably accurate. Though my doctor was wondering, like, maybe it's not as high as we're thinking it is, throughout the whole process. And it is just a thing that, you know, you have really bad anxiety. And I was just going off of whatever he told me. So, what ended up happening is he said, okay, we're gonna, like, just not do anything for 3 months here. You try to cut sodium from your diet as best you can. You know, like, not completely cut out sodium, but just try to intake less sodium. Because, as I was told, it wasn't exactly my weight was the issue either, or anything like that. I've always been at a pretty healthy weight range, and that's never been an issue for me. Granted, my diet and my exercising habits could be probably a bit more, you know, routine and a little bit better, and I could probably be a little bit more disciplined about all that, but that's never really been an issue for me before, too. And as we looked more at it, we realized that a lot of it has to do with just unfortunate genetics. As far back as my great-grandmother, they have records of bad heart stuff going on with the family. a lot of my uncles have had heart attacks or just in general bad heart disease or weird heart stuff going on. My grandma has high blood pressure. Great grandma had issues, like I said, even though I didn't even know her or that she even had those issues. My mom has had blood pressure issues. Thankfully, no heart attacks or anything. My cousin had a genetic defect where he had something really wrong with his heart that they didn't find out until he fainted one day when he was 19, and they actually needed to perform surgery to correct that, and it was a real scary, like, open heart surgery thing. He turned out fine now, and everything's okay, thankfully, but just on my mom's side especially, really weird heart stuff going on, so they're thinking that's what most of that was. And it was just kind of, uh-oh, I rolled the dice wrong when I was born, which really fucking sucks. So what he wanted me to do was, like I said, wanted me to cut out sodium a little bit and just work on that. Maybe, improve the diet and be a little bit better about that. And then in 3 months after our last meeting, he wanted me to go on a 24-hour heart monitor that was going to take blood pressure readings like every 30 minutes. And that would be, like, the most accurate possible test they could do to see, okay, do you actually have high blood pressure, or are you just really nervous around people? So I did my best to improve my diet and exercise more regularly in the last 3 months. And I went in and I got the monitor, which was really fucking annoying because it also beeps when it's reading your thing, and I had to take 2 days off of work just to lie around at home and listen to this thing beep at me. It especially wasn't pleasant when I was trying to sleep. It was very hard to sleep that night. And I gave it back to them, and they reported back the results. And apparently I have what could very possibly be the most mild case of high blood pressure in Wisconsin, as the nurse kind of joked at me. So yeah, I just have had a bunch of medical back and forth meetings throughout the year that have been a pain, where I've been checking back in on that, and they have me on medication now. I'm only on it for like a month and a half, and after that, they said I should probably be fine. They're gonna just kind of play it by ear. I'm on like the most mild medication they could possibly give me, and they didn't want to put me on something that I didn't need that could possibly cause side effects or anything like that. But yeah, that's been a little bit of a scary thing, especially because, like I said, I've never been, at least like through regular doctor visits and routine checkups and all that, I've never been told that I've, need to watch my health in that regard or anything like that. Like, I've always been told that overall I'm pretty fine, pretty regular, healthy dude. So that was kind of scary. Didn't know exactly what was going on. In the back of my mind, the past few months, I've been really terrified. Like, oh God, what if I have like a weird genetic thing like my cousin did? That, just freaking out about shit like that. No, it turns out I just had bad luck, so that kind of sucks. But, yeah, I've decided since then, though, that, maybe I should probably just try to get in my exercise on a more regular basis, and, yeah, I'm still trying to cut back down on the sodium. Yeah, and, just eating healthier stuff throughout the day than, just kind of picking up whatever, so yeah, hopefully that's resolved shortly, but that has been a thing that's been kind of a pain because I've had to take time off of work to go to those meetings, and I've kind of drained through a lot of my personal time between that and also having to go out and visit family and do stuff like that. I'm running pretty close to running out my PTO for the year and all that stuff. So that's been a little bit of a pain, unfortunately. So that's been causing some stress. But other than that, yeah, everything looks to be fine. But I've just been worrying a lot about that the year. So that's kind of been on my mind. And then other than that, too, speaking of work, actually, I've been on track for another promotion. I don't know if I talked about this in my last update or whatever, but I got promoted earlier in the year. I've been at this place for about a year and a half now, probably a little bit less than that, but I'm on track sometime in the first quarter of 2020 to get another promotion, and this one is a little bit more, sizable. But for that process, I do need to do a bunch of online certification work, which I don't get paid to do, and I have to do in my own free time, which really fucking sucks. I also have to take on more responsibilities at my job, which, with how toxic our work culture is, a lot of the time means I'm spending later hours in the office, or I'm doing things at home that I should technically be being compensated for, but I'm just kind of expected to get the work done and, not complain about it and not get compensated for it, which fucking annoys me, but, I've just kind of accepted that the world of social media, and I'm sure a lot of other tech, type jobs or whatever, are just going to be terrible with crunch, and this is just something I'm probably going to have to deal with. I've dealt with it at every job I've gotten, both outside and during college, actually. I don't think I've had a social media job that's really done a lot of good for my work-life balance, which fucking sucks, but I guess in some ways, there are pros and cons to every discipline you go into. I can work from home a lot more than a lot of other people in different jobs and stuff can, so I don't know. Hopefully I find a job that pays better than my current one and treats me a little bit better in that regard at some point, but, in the grand scheme of things, I'm still mostly inexperienced and I'm working my way up the totem pole, and, yeah, I don't know. After I get this promotion, though, I'll technically be one of the more, have some more clout than a lot of other people in the office. So that'll be exciting just because, hopefully that means that people can rely on me more as like a trusted resource within the community that we have going on at that office, and have people, kind of respect my position a little bit more than just being another young dude who works there. So, and I mean, honestly, I'll be being paid what I can only assume from what I've heard from other people who have gone through this process is a fair bit more than what I'm being paid now, which sounds really fucking good because I'm tired of, not getting paid, I feel, a fair amount. So, yeah, that'll be something. But yeah, just that's also been obviously impacting um, me being able to record and do stuff. And just for an example, I really wanted to stream like either Death Stranding or like Pokemon tonight or whatever, and I just can't because I have to go through like a 4-hour Google Analytics certification thing, and I have to get that done before Monday, and I don't want to, but I gotta do it if I want to get that cash. So yeah, that's kind of been where I'm at with that. So it's been a little difficult to prioritize channel stuff. Which, yeah, also, I was late with my Patreon exclusive vlog for October, which I feel really fucking bad about, because, people are paying me good money for that, so I apologize if you were impacted by that. I ended up recording two vlogs for November, and also recording the October one late as an apology for that, so once again, real sorry about that. But yeah, let's talk Patreon stuff, actually, because, well, for one, I just wanted to thank everyone who's pitched into that to any degree. It means the world to me that there are even people willing to, support me in that way, and I'll always be thankful for that. I do want to announce a couple updates to that, just because I feel like, as I said when I first unveiled that at the start of the year, it's kind of an evolving process, and I wanted to make sure that this was an adaptable thing that's kind of changed as we've gone along. So there's a few things I wanted to change just so just to make sure that y'all are getting your value's worth. The first is, I greatly misjudged the schedule and timeline of making a lot of those larger video essay and in-depth, like, highly edited reviews that I've been wanting to do. And I kind of had that project priority poll thing at that tier with the assumption that I could make those more of a monthly thing. And unfortunately, due to the fact that a lot of the games I've been interested in doing for that are either really long or just, through life stuff, I've realized that a monthly schedule for that isn't going to work. So I've kind of been exploring, like, okay, what else can I have people do for, like, pull stuff or whatever for that'll make sense. So I've been doing stuff like, oh, what would you like to see me LP next? What would you like to see me stream next? That sort of thing. And I think I'm going to be going more of that direction with it in the future, just because I realized those longer, really, heavily scripted videos that I need to do, realistically, if I want to do them to the level I want to be able to do them at, they're going to take months. And it's kind of unfair to you guys to have you vote on stuff like that, and then when something ends up taking way longer than other things, that just kind of sucks. And I'd rather that poll be something that you can all easily see, the reflection of in my work habits and all that. So when y'all vote like, hey, I want to see you stream this, or hey, I want to see you do this or whatever, I want to I want to actually have that be reflected in the content I'm making, so it's worth all y'all's time. Other than that, what else? Oh yeah, the other thing I realized as I'm closing out and finishing up writing a lot of different scripts here for stuff I want to talk about. The one tier I have was basically like, hey, at this tier, you'll get access to like my annotated scripts for each video. What I ended up realizing as I wrote more of these is that my annotations aren't actually that interesting. So I'm going to change that. And I'm actually going to make that, and I haven't gone in and done this yet. I actually really should before I upload this video. It'll be changed by the time you see this. But what I actually want to do instead is I want to just write a quick like 300 to 500, maybe shorter, maybe longer, depends on the video, I guess. Just like a making of background, like info, like how I decided to make the video, how I decided to make it, my thought process going into it, things that didn't work, anything interesting that came up in the production of the video or just even the writing of the script. Something that feels a little bit more behind the scenes-y, which is what I've always really intended for that tier to be. And I thought I annotated my scripts more than I really did, but as I finished up my Hollow Knight review that I've been writing, I kind of realized, like, man, I have like 10 notes in here, and like, sure, it kind of shows you like, oh, hey, like, here's some different stuff I've edited around and stuff like that. I kind of realized that for most people it probably wasn't that interesting, and I think I could make it more interesting. So I'm changing that so you guys get better value out of it, and just it'll probably be more interesting to read through. But other than that, Patreon staying the same. I did announce this at the end of the first episode of Last Heart Left, the new podcast that we've been doing, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. There is a new $12 tier for people who want to have us read like an ad or, shout out something on the show. We're not, really getting ads from traditional podcast ad services or anything like that, and I don't really plan on it. But yeah, we're doing the Patreon thing instead, so if at any point you have a personal project or something you want to shout out and we feel that it's a good fit for the show, you can pledge to that tier, and we can, just get in contact with me via email, through Twitter, any of that stuff. And, we'll, do a little ad read for whatever you want on the show, which is, I think, a cool way of doing ad stuff, better than just, advertising mattresses or shaving cream or any of the other bullshit that you hear in video game-based podcasts that I'm sure y'all are sick of. And I want to highlight the cool stuff that, my viewers are doing and all that. And if I think it's cool and worth shouting out, then I'm more than happy to give you that ad spot. And also, not going to lie, the $12 is pretty cheap considering the audience size we have. There's some stuff you can do online to kind of get a value judgment of how much like advertising space is worth on like a podcast or something, considering like your reach and your current platform. And from what I can tell, the actual like rate I'm offering is less than half of what the rate would traditionally be if I was doing this with like a corporation or something. So it's a good deal. I'm just saying. But yeah, let's talk about Last Heart Left a little bit. That's the new podcast me and my friends are doing. Gonna be pretty free form. We're just going to talk about whatever we've been playing as of late, and probably have it be a little bit more focused than We Are Finally Podcast is, where we're probably only going to be talking about a couple games every show, or just a couple things in general. And the hosts, whoever is on the show with me, is probably going to reflect that. It's probably going to be just a couple people. When all of us in our friend group feel like, oh, hey, like we want to talk about Pokemon, we'll go ahead and record an episode. I'm going to try to do at least one a month for those, especially with like the Patreon ad stuff if people go for that. It'll definitely be at least one a month for that. The next one we want to do is actually talking about the Saga series. Saga Scarlet Grace just came out, and I haven't played it yet, but I want to get going on it. But I'll probably be talking with that with my friends Mark and Fang. And we'll talk a little bit about our history with the Saga games, what we love about them, and just overall have a very interesting discussion. As always, you can, send emails and stuff our way. I'll have the email addresses down below in the description. and you could just ask us whatever. But if you want to talk about whatever topic we're talking about that episode too, that would be great. And like I said, I'll probably since it's going to be a more topic-oriented podcast episode to episode, I'll probably announce, I'll get better about announcing ahead of time, like, hey, this is what we're talking about this time, just to give people a heads up. But, if you have a more generalized question, feel free to send it our way too, and we'll address it if it's a good question or whatever. And yeah, also too, like, I know a few other people want to talk about Pokemon with me, so we'll probably record a podcast about that. Sometimes probably after I'm assuming after the holiday season is over, just because everyone's kind of frantic and going every which way for the holidays. So that might be hard to record with everyone who wants to get in on that. And I'm sure as more of us finish up Death Stranding, which I actually need to get back to myself, I haven't been kind of neglecting that game. We'll be talking about that as well, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, and I know y'all love to hear podcast and stuff from me and my friends and all that, so I hope y'all enjoy it. Other than that, Let's Plays. Yes, Let's Plays. That's the main reason I wanted to record this. So Kyoyaku Megami Tensei 2 is obviously like a big priority for me. With how the last month went, I wanted to start recording that in November. I have started up a test playthrough, as most of you probably know. I always, for when I do like those really heavily edited post-commentary Let's Plays, I do a test playthrough beforehand just so I make notes and I'm prepared to talk about different things I want to talk about. And just in general so I know where I'm going and the game is fresh in my mind still before I go through and record it that second time. Which naturally is a long process for games like RPGs, which are hours upon hours long. And I wanted to get that done. Unfortunately, we're a little bit ways into December here. I'm still doing that test playthrough. And with the holidays coming up, I'm definitely going to have to push that back into sometime early 2020. Until then, as just like a, kind of an appetizer, I do want to do a bunch of random Let's Plays and stuff that are going to be a little bit... Well, some are going to be a little bit more highly edited and a little bit higher effort than others. Not to say that, my low-effort ones are a joke or whatever, but I do definitely want to just sit down and actually play through Resident Evil 2. I've been meaning to Let's Play that game the entire year. I wanted to replay through the original once again just to kind of remind myself about, how that game plays and all that, because original Resident Evil 2, fucking great game. And I've been really looking forward to that remake, but I just haven't given that game the time yet. So I'm going to record just a blind solo playthrough of that at some point, probably, both the Claire and Leon routes, and have a good time with that. I'm sure y'all will enjoy that. I know everyone loves that remake. I can't wait to play through it for myself and record it for y'all. Hopefully there's some good scares in there. I'll be doing, live commentary and all that. So, but, if you're more of a fan of, less of my live reaction stuff and more a fan of post-commentary playthroughs and stuff like that, I'm not super comfortable at exactly announcing yet what we're doing, but me and a few friends have some ideas for different games that we could go through and record that hopefully will materialize towards the end of the month or early next year. One of them is going to be really weird because all three of us are mostly unfamiliar with it, but kind of have a general sense of what's going on. But also, we don't know if it's going to be a good game to Let's Play yet, so more on that mystery game LP in the future, probably sometime. But there's stuff in the pipeline, and I have people eager to help me out and do a bunch of random playthroughs of things. So look forward to those, and then Kyoyaku will probably happen next year. I don't know. That's kind of the status of Let's Play stuff. The only other thing is that at some point I do want to do Let's Plays of Dragon Quest 1 and Saga 1, which I did have for a Patreon poll 1 month, and I believe Dragon Quest edged out Saga for what to Let's Play. So I'll definitely do that at some point, and also probably somewhere in there a Transistor Let's Play. All three of those games are really short, especially by RPG standards, so I am really confident in my ability to blow through those. Especially Transistor. Transistor's only like 4 or 5 hours long. It's a very short indie game, so yeah. I'll definitely have those for y'all to look forward to in the next year whenever I get the time to do that. But yeah, beyond that, I'm just going to take it, week by week, do what I can when I can. I've recorded a lot of fighting game footage. I've been playing a lot of fighting games recently. I've really just, like, in the back of my mind for the past few months, it's been really, like, grating at me, like, man, like, I never really sat down and, like, got good at a fighting game, and, like, I want to go through that process and learn to, like, improve, and it's just been a very fun thing to do. And it's honestly been a lot easier to fit into my schedule than I feel like a lot of other games have, because I can spend like 30 minutes playing online matches or 30 minutes of a training mode. Or even when me and my friends are all in a Discord group, we can all hop onto a online lobby and play Blaze Blue for 3 hours or whatever. It's just slotted into my life really well, and I've recorded a lot of that, so I'll definitely have some more of that coming up, those back alley knife fights videos in the near future here. And yeah, I don't know, there's a lot more stuff, but once again, I don't want to talk about everything I have in the pipes, just in case none of it pans out. I don't want to end up disappointing people, but things are coming. I'm sorry it's been slow, and like I said, the holidays are still probably going to be a little bit of a pain, because what always happens every year is my sister brings her family over, and they spend the, however many weeks they spend here across, like Christmas and New Year's and all that, and end of the month always gets really busy at work, as is anyway, so I'm going to be dealing with that too. So probably in the next few weeks, probably still going to be a little bit slow with video project stuff, but I'll put out what I can put out. I've recorded some build and chill stuff too that I'm sure y'all will appreciate. Y'all, some of y'all really like those videos, and I know that, so every now and again I'll get a comment like, hey, when's the next build and chill, and that always makes me happy. So actually, I saw Shar's Counterattack in theaters yesterday. That was really fucking cool. That's a interesting movie, and it was fun seeing it with a crowd for the first time. So really hope I get to see Gundam F91 in theaters one day too, but who knows, it's a pipe dream. But yeah, I thought I would update y'all with where I'm at on things. I'm really sorry if you're frustrated with the slowness of this process, but I say this a lot, but I am someone who definitely always prioritizes real life stuff first rather than my creative passions in life, just because I want to make sure I'm putting myself in a place to succeed in my personal life, and make sure that I'm maintaining, the relationships I need to maintain, and make sure that everything is going okay with my employment, and I'm in a secure place financially in my life and all that. And now also, too, just medically, I've really wanted to make sure that I'm spending the time I need to spend making sure that I'm making healthy lifestyle choices and that my body is being taken care of, because I do not want to put my health over anything creative that I do in my life, just because I've seen how that has gone with other people, both, people I've looked up to in terms of creators that I appreciate the work of, and even, people in my personal life that, put their work over their own body's safety. And I've seen, I've seen the ramifications of that, and I do not want that for myself. So yeah, I don't really ever have like a standard thing that I close out videos with, but I think I want that to change, actually, just considering things that have been on my mind lately. So I think I'm just going to start closing out a lot of my videos this way, but take care of yourself, I don't think we say that to each other enough, just as a culture, but take care of yourself, and have a good one. Have a good night. Bye.